Shout out to the chat. Peace Queen, welcome back. I'm
Peace.
Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises.
And I'm Stephanie for the Queen's Court and Dope Soul Sports Talk.
That's right. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank
How
you. I
was
appreciate it.
how was your trip? Let's start right from there.
It was good. I went to Panama. This is what I will say going forward though. I'm not staying in a resort. You just don't get the country feel when you're in a resort. I like to stay in a hotel right in the city, do the excursions, eat the local food, meet the people. We did go on an excursion. It's just not the same. To me, going to a resort is like, how do you know you in Jamaica, be in China? It's all the same. But overall, I,
Facts.
I had a good time. I gotta get back.
All right. Did you sign any autographs?
Nah, I didn't sign any autographs.
No. All right, it's coming. They gonna recognize you. They gonna recognize you soon. Oh
Yes,
no.
C God. I did go to Panama City.
Nice. Um, so you did your show last night.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I didn't make it, but I'm gonna double back and,
Oh,
and, and watch it for sure. I know you did the Knicks big board
yes.
based off that 11th pick project.
Yes.
Oh, not even projected. We know it's
Hmm.
the 11th pick now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you the floor from jump and let you start with your big board from the 11th pick that I missed. You don't
Okay.
have to give anyone else's intake. You can let them go to your channel and check it out like I will. And get who you said Staffordon
Yeah. Stafford Don and Jarrell
and
was
Jarrell.
with me last night, and each of us picked our top three players that we would pick if we were the Knicks at the 11th pick, in order. I did five though. So
Okay.
I had Sohan at five. I had Doran at four. I had Johnny Davis at three. And this was tough for me because Dyson Daniel is moving up my board, but I had Dyson Daniels two and Ben Mathurin one. But if you challenge me, I could switch that.
Okay.
flip, flip those two. Yeah. So what would
And
yours? Go ahead. I'm listening.
Matherin. Obviously, this is assuming these guys are there. I would think Matherin's probably least likely to be there. You would think.
I don't know if either one of them are going to be there, and that's what's scaring me. When I look at the top 10, like the top 5 or 6 is pretty set. Then when you throw Griffin, Mathurin, Dyson, and Johnny Davis, by the time we get to 11, all of them may be off the board, and we may be left with like Sohan, Doran, Malachi, Branham. All 10, they could be off the board. So
Hmm.
Dyson is climbing up the draft boards. Matherin was already climbing up the draft boards. It's possible neither one of them are there.
Yeah, I agree, and we're gonna talk about the Knicks moving up in a minute, and that that'll change a lot of the perspectives. But we'll get into that. Let me give my big board at 11,
Hmm.
and I'll just do three,
Okay. Most of them did three. I just had to be different.
and I'll start with number one for me is Daniels for sure. I think he's still number one for me. I just like what he brings. I think he fills a need. The ability to play point is not is he doesn't have to, but the ability to guard multiple positions as well as play both multiple positions. Um, he's a dot connector for me. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
He's not probably not going to be an all star or a star in this league, but he's a glue guy. He's the guy that you kind of need on a team, but it's hard to project those guys as
Right.
a fan. You know what I mean? Because we're
Hmm.
always looking for the home run, the future superstar, and I don't think a lot of us even look at the guy that might just make everything work. You know what I mean? Kind of
Hmm.
that final puzzle piece that makes you see the full picture.
Right.
And that's who he is to me. Um, my number two guy, who I'm not gonna lie, is moving up a lot for me
Hmm.
in this draft. and has the potential for me to
Mhm.
surpass Daniels as my number one option
Mhm.
at number 11, and that's Jalen Williams out of
Mm.
Santa Clara, I believe. It's
Yes.
not a D1 school, you know. Hasn't been on a lot of mock drafts, going back a week or two ago, but seems to be shooting up the draft boards all over the
Mhm.
place.
Mhm.
Um, some in the lottery, most around 20. Um, but there's something about this kid. For me, I think he has star potential. Um, but the floor is so high for me
Mhm.
that I don't care if he doesn't become a star. You know what I mean. He's a bit older. I believe he's a junior. I believe he's 20.
Mhm.
Super efficient. Average 18 points per game. I want to say like four rebounds, maybe three assists, something to that nature. But
Mhm.
highly efficient. Um, just like Johnny Davis, who I'll get to in a second. He's my
Mhm.
number three.
Mhm.
Um, was the focal point of the opposing team's defense, game
Mhm.
in and game out. You look at the history of guys that came out of D2 and D3 schools.
Mhm.
I think I think the math is pretty high that you know these guys that are efficient in those areas, in those schools, they still end up being just as good as pros as some of the D1 guys that are higher ranked, in their draft class.
Mhm.
So he's a sleeper for me. Like I said, he really has the potential to move to my favorite at number 11 and kind of shock some guys.
Would you trade down for him, or you would take him at 11?
I would take him at 11,
Mhm.
but if I have a list of 5 people or four
Mhm.
people that are still on the board, and I have the opportunity to move down two
Mhm.
picks and take a chance because I have still, you know, 4 or 3 people on the board, and I know I'm gonna get one of them.
Mhm.
I would definitely move down. But I would also I would also take him at me personally. He's number two on my list right now at number 11.
Wow.
Because I like him that much, and a lot of it, like I was sold on watching his tape. But then
Mhm.
when I got to hear him with I forget the gentleman's name who does the breakdowns for ESPN one on
Mhm.
one with the guy and kind of goes over the film with the prospect. When
Mhm.
I watched that and just hearing him talking to that gentleman and kind of calling out some of the plays and what he thought and what he could do better and things of that nature.
Mhm.
I feel like he has a high basketball IQ. Um, he reminds me of Karis LeVert.
Yeah.
I think that's who he reminds me of. Um, Game wise and the personality of
Mhm.
you know what I mean. I'm not gonna be flashy. I'm not gonna talk that much trash. You know what I mean. I'm just gonna come in, play my game, be efficient. Play my
Right.
game, be
Right.
efficient.
Right.
And
Right.
and, and he has. I haven't found a weakness. That's the biggest thing for me. Like I have not seen a weakness in his game. So that goes a long way. Like usually we're finding a weakness and dwelling on it rather than looking at the strengths. I couldn't find a weakness that I could even dwell on. So all I could talk about is he's good in the mid range, decent 3-point shooter.
Mhm.
Already was the number one guy. Even in
Mhm.
that has been a team guy. You know what I mean? Makes the right reads.
Mhm.
Uh, good size at 6. I want to say 6'7". I know they say he grew. He was
Mhm.
6'6" in the beginning
Mhm.
of the year. But all these things, I'm like, I really see a lot of potential in him. And then my number
Mhm.
3 is Johnny Davis, who was the first guy I kind of looked at this year at all. Not by choice, just It just so happened that his game was on anytime I tried to watch a college game, so I seen the most of him. But he impressed me all year long. Um, I'm still high on him. Wouldn't be mad if they grabbed him. If they see something in Johnny
Mm-hmm.
that that's that makes them pass on Daniels or Williams or whomever, I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
think he has a world of potential. I've talked about him being the focal point of the opposing team's
Mm-hmm.
defense, and maybe that's why I give him a pass on some of his like 3-point shot. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
that has to do with shot selection to me, and
Mm-hmm.
not in the sense that it's bad shot selection, but if you're that guy and the shot clock's going down, you got to take the shot. So I think he was put in those situations more so than he would be in the NBA, where
Mm-hmm.
he is not going to be all right. It's 5 seconds left. Give the ball to Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
It might be it's 5 seconds left. Maybe Johnny could. I mean, like if he's open,
Yeah,
you're not gonna defer from him. Um,
for sure. I
so
have a question though about Jalen Williams. Why do you think he's not ranked higher in the mock drafts?
I think part of it is not being a D1 school. I think part of it is being a junior and not a freshman or sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he's shooting up these drafts, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that has to do with his combine performance, which was also stellar.
Mm-hmm.
He has that hunger for me. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
no ducking. It's no ducking. Where I mean, I get it. Some of these top potential picks, they don't want to lower their draft stock, but there's something about a guy that is willing to take the risk of lowering it
Mm-hmm.
because he feels like he's gonna raise it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Confidence in himself and his ability. But as far as I think it has to do with his age, the school he attended. But to be fair, he's rising at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, so
Mm-hmm.
people are noticing. You know what I mean? And these are guys
Mm-hmm.
that do this for a living, not like me, who's kind of just
Mm-hmm.
finding some videos or looking at some tapes here
Mm-hmm.
and there. So
It is a Division 1 school.
or it is a D1.
I
So
just
I
looked
mean,
it up. Mm-hmm.
okay, I mean, I did not know that. I thought it was, or maybe just not one of the
Maybe not a top Division.
bigger name
Right.
schools, but
Mm-hmm.
or not in a good conference, if you will, because they talked about his the competition he played against, but at the same time, I don't care if about the competition you play against, because if you're that guy and they're geared for you, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be you know what I mean. It's gonna be a challenge. It's one thing if they're not geared for you and you putting up numbers, but no, he was the focal point day in and day out of the opposing teams. So yeah, I definitely like him. So that's the big board for 11 for me. Um, Reports came out that the Knicks are interested in moving up. So we'll start with like a few questions,
Mm-hmm.
and you know how high potentially do you think the Knicks can move up in the draft? What it will take from them to move up? Maybe we could do it in tiers.
Right.
I'll say top three. Is there a chance, and
Mm-hmm.
what would it take for the Knicks to move into the top three? And we'll probably be on the same page on it. And if not,
Yeah.
I'll give my take after you.
I mean, I think it is possible. The Knicks have young talent. The Knicks have draft picks, draft capital. The Knicks have the 11th pick in the draft. So if they wanted to get in the top three, I mean, they have the assets to do it. I think it would take a lot. You think about, those three teams are young teams: Oklahoma City, Orlando, Houston. They're not going to want Randle, right? I don't think they're going to want an older player. So they're going to want younger players. If they're giving up the number one pick in this draft, a Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith, and Bonchero, who's slated to go 1, 2, and 3, you're not holding on to. They're going to have their pick of which young player they want, plus the 11th pick, and you might even have to throw in another first rounder. So I'm not sure the Knicks will be shooting that high, unless they really, really um, like somebody.
Well, let me ask you that.
Hmm.
Play off of that. Uh, mm, I, let's talk about that comment first,
Hmm.
because that's where I was gonna go with what it would
Hmm.
cost.
Hmm.
I definitely think it costs a young player. I definitely think it costs the swap at the at the
At the
very
very
least,
least, right?
and then how much more compensation? Maybe a future protected pick. Maybe that works.
Hmm.
Um, and the protections got to vary because, like you said, off air, who's giving up the number one for unsure number in the future? You know what I
Right,
mean? They know
right,
they know 11's 11, but
right,
they don't know what that future pick is going to be. And here
right.
I am talking about protections. So so I don't know. Maybe we gotta limit the protection. Maybe we got maybe we can't put a protection on it.
Right.
Um, so I agree. It will take those things. Is there someone you would do it for? Uh, and let's
Yeah, I
say
mean it's the same.
if it costs a Obi the 11th and a future first.
I mean, is there anybody in this draft? I mean, I like Jabari Smith. I like um I like Ivy, but any draft pick is coming with question marks. Like
Mm.
you're really betting on that they're going to reach their ceiling, right? Because you're giving up knowns for unknowns. I mean, you've been scouting them, so they're not like totally unknown, but you still don't know whether or not they're going to reach their ceiling in this draft. I think if this was a Zion William draft, a LeBron draft, or that sure number one, I would do it. Um, would I give up Obi for Jabari in the 11th pick? I would do that, but they're gonna want more. They're gonna want.
Would you
I,
do
I
it
would think
would you do it with the next with another future first as
nah.
well?
I think that's too
Okay.
much. That's two. That's three number one picks. Obi, this year's number one, and um,
Do you think Jabari
next year's number one.
is the the biggest short thing out of those three? Because
No,
me
I think
personally,
Banchero
yeah,
is
if I'm giving up Obi, I'm not going for Chet or Jabari. I'm going for Banchero because I feel like he's the most of a sure thing. Granted, the question mark of defense is there,
right.
but no disrespect. This is not no OB hate,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
that's where his question marks are with me anyway. So now I'm only comparing offense to offense with
Right,
Bonchero and and
right.
Obi at that point.
But this is the issue with Banchero. He has a high floor. He's NBA ready, but what's his ceiling? You know what I mean?
And
So,
his this is the way I'm looking at it.
mhm,
If we're giving up Obi, obviously Randall's here to stay. He's
mhm,
a guy that could he don't have to come. He could be the third pick and not have to start.
right,
He could be the third pick and actually spell Randall. You know what I mean? Significant minutes where it's not a question mark. I mean, granted, it depends. Was Obi not playing because of defensive things, or was he not playing because of totality?
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
But yeah, if it's out of the three guys, I think he's the only one I would do it for because I feel like I I'm giving up too much for unsure. You know what I mean?
But
Unsure.
even Banchero is I mean, he can wind up being a rotation player. I mean, I get it. His floor is higher, but it's not like Jabari Smith at his base. He's still going to be a 3 and D guy. Chet at his base. Like I don't see a lot of people see Chet as a very skinny guy. He just needs to put on weight. There's a lot
Mhm.
of players that come into the league that's thin. He just needs to put on weight. I don't know how much he can handle though. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be injury prone. He's a strong guy. From what I understand, he's from what I've been hearing, he's
Mhm.
thin, but pretty strong.
I
So
like all three of them. And then honestly, if we just had the number one pick, that changes my perspective of who I pick. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. It's because I'm giving up so much that now I got to go with the most of a
Right,
sure thing in that
right,
situation. If I
right,
just had that pick, I'm probably going Chet. I'm
right,
going with upside and potential, and you know
right,
what I mean. Sky's the limit, and then
right.
obviously, knock. I know Jabari is your guy. He
And
just
Ivy, and Ivy. I like Ivy too.
and we're gonna get right into that
And let's just
next.
say for the chat, we're discussing this because there's reports that the Knicks are looking to move up. So this is not us in our head talking about moving up. This is reports that the Knicks organization is looking into moving up in the draft. So we're just asking ourselves and you, if the Knicks do decide to move up in the draft, who would we like, and who would we give up? So don't send us the venom. Okay, we just discussing, what's
and
what's out there.
and this is at top three. We're gonna move on from top three and say, um, obviously as we go lower, there's more of a chance of the Knicks
Hmm.
actually pulling off the move to move up.
Hmm.
So we'll go 4, 5, and 6, and and and
And seven, because Portland has
and
been
7. Let's include
reported to
them as well.
mhm.
Um, any who would be your targets at that point? What's your big board at that point? Obviously, those first three guys we just talked about aren't on the table. Well, 4, 5, 6, and 7,
Yeah, that's tough because after four,
which
which
is
is
Ivy.
and
Uh,
five, which may be Keegan Murray or Sharp, it can go in any different direction. Some of the guys we're talking about at 11, we may have to trade up for in the seventh spot to get. So some of those
that-
plays will still be the same. So Ivy, I would trade up for. Um, would I trade up for Dyson or Matherin? It depends. I don't know if I would trade up to four for them, but would I trade up to seven? Depends on what's left and whether I like what's left or not.
so let's do
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
For the fourth pick, you would trade for.
I would.
We'll get into exactly what we think it would cost for that, and a lot of these moves, I don't know if the cost is going to be much different than what we just discussed for moving into the top three. To
You think
to
so?
to
You
be
think the fourth
honest,
would be really high as well?
I,
I
I
see.
think so. I think the right now with the reports, I think 7 is probably Randle. I think that's the cost point blank. Um, Everything else now,
Mm-hmm.
I think Randall's off the table. I don't think he's going to be a commodity that the other team wants.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's more of we want young guys, we want potential. You know what I mean? We want a future pick. We
Mm-hmm.
and we want to swap. Like you got to woo these guys at that point. Um, I would definitely go with Ivy as well at 4. Would I move up for Ivy? I might. I think I would.
I would definitely move up for Ivan. Shout out to Paris Duggar. He always rocking with us, but I would have to disagree. And I'm a big Grimes fan. You have an opportunity to get Jaden Ivey, depending on what you have to go do. You do. I mean, Grimes to me is a high floor, low ceiling guy. He's not somebody that, as much as I like him because you can count on him, you know what he's going to bring game in and game out. He's going to give you the defense. He's going to give you the three. I don't see him putting the ball on the floor yet. I don't. So we gotta, and we talked about this yesterday. There is a risk in selling early, right? Because you could trade off somebody who later on becomes a star. But there's also a risk in holding on to a guy and letting better talent pass you by because you think this guy is going to become something and they don't. And they flatten out and they don't reach their ceiling. And now the value that they have, because you got to remember, the less you're known, the more value you have because people can imagine what you're going to be, right? The more you play in this league, there's less imagining. We can see who this player is. So we
Who's
got to
picking
be careful.
fourth? I'm sorry.
Sacramento. So you gotta, this is what GMs go through in terms of their thought process. Do I let this guy pass? who's been playing well in this league and he's still relatively young for this guy that we have who may or may not pop? What if we hold on to this guy, he doesn't become that? We lost out on the opportunity, you know? Or what if we trade him and he does become that? We sold too early. So the only point I'm trying to make is people get on those who want to trade off, but you can make the argument that there's something to be said for people who want to hold on to guys and let talent pass by because you think this guy is going to pop and they don't. That's all I'm saying. It could go either way.
Shout out to Jaden Ivey in the chat. uh,
Oh,
um,
we coming for you.
I,
or from what I'm hearing, the Knicks is coming for him.
yeah, I think he's the only guy that. Who do you think the Knicks are most likely targeting if they're moving up? Do you think it's one of our guys that we're talking about in our 11th pick big draft board that they feel like isn't going to be there, that they want that bad?
Hold on. Hold on. Stop. Can we stop? Can we stop? And I'm a Grimes fan. I like Grimes more than I like Cam because Cam has the upside, but who knows whether he's going to reach it or not. Grimes, you know what you're going to get game in and game out. But can we stop with the Knicks took off with any player when we won 37 games? But shout out to you, May 4th. Appreciate you. Can you ask that again?
Oh, what did I ask you? I, it don't matter. I don't remember. I mean,
I appreciate the chat though. The chat was popping.
I'm not as high on Grimes as you are,
Right.
and I'm of the belief that we're kind of cluttered in that general area anyway. So
And if we need to move off Grimes, I'm okay with it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not advocating for it, but I'm not mad at it either. You know what I mean? Let's talk about 7. I don't even, who has 5. You know who has 5 and 6?
Yes. Indiana and Detroit has 5. Indiana has 6.
You know what? Let's talk about them both. You said
You think Detroit? I don't
Detroit
think
has 5.
Detroit is.
I mean, here's something that potentially, you know what I
Mhm.
mean. The reports are they high on Mitch. They want Mitch. They're going after Mitch.
Uh-huh.
I don't think they have the ability to offer that 5th year. I don't think they have they have the money to offer more, but technically they can't offer more than we can either. So if it's about locking Mitch up, and if
Mhm.
he was going to agree to whatever the terms are, we could always move him in the draft. Move him in the draft, do the swap, and then they can extend him
Okay.
because they have the bird rights, because
So
they'll
you're
have
saying
7 days to extend him.
so you're saying Mitch and the another and the a sign and trade for Mitch and the number 11th pick for the number 5th pick.
Yes.
I would do that, especially if the Knicks don't have any intention of re-signing Mitch. I would do that. I would do that. And in the 5th pick, who are you
Who you
targeting?
targeting? That's the
I,
thing.
Ivy, Keegan, Keegan Murray. He's another guy to me that's high floor, low ceiling. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's gonna be a star
What
star.
position do you have him at?
Um, he shoots like a 3, but with his size and his lack of mobility, pr- not lack of mobility, but not a very, um, probably 4. He probably have to play the 4 at
I-
6'8".
Is he beating out Randle or Obi?
I- Yes, I think he's beaten out. I think he would beat out. I think they would have to move off of one of them, and that's it. Like this is what I think in a draft. I'm not drafting somebody because there's somebody there. That's just it. You just got to move the guy. And
but you
trust me, if
but
they're
you only
trading, if they're trading up for Keegan, just
Mm-hmm.
say
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna clear out space for him. Like, why would you trade up and give up assets for a guy and you have no intention of creating space for him?
See, theoretically, I feel like if you're doing that, you kind of want to do two birds with one stone. You want to make the move to clear out in the move to move up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I don't like moving. I don't like having to move Mitch. I don't like having to move Mitch and then having to move someone else because of the guy that we moved Mitch for. You know what I mean? That we moved up to get this pick, and now we got to make another move. Like so, technically, like the same way you don't like not making a move
Hmm.
because the space is cluttered. I
Right.
don't like making a move and then having to make another move. You know what I mean? Because now that
Right.
next move, there's some desperation in it. You
Not
know what I mean?
necessarily, because if you're a front office, you have to always be thinking ahead. So you have to be thinking that, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna trade up, we're gonna move off of, we're gonna trade Mitch, we're gonna bring back Keegan Murray. And I'm not saying that's the case, but if it is,
Mm-hmm.
you have to already be thinking, who are we gonna get to replace Mitch? You can't just make the trade and now sitting there trying to figure out what you're going to do. You got to have some, contingency plans for Mitch. So I think the front office is smart enough to do that, have their ducks in a row if they make that move. But listen,
But that next move, hopefully, if we're moving on from Randle or we're moving Obi, one of those two, you know what I mean? Hopefully that is bringing us back the replacement for Mitch. You know what I mean? But that's what I mean.
right, right,
Because now we got to replace Mitch and we got to find a way to move one of those two guys.
right. Now I'm
So,
not saying I would draft Keegan Murray.
okay.
I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying he would be an option if the Knicks moved up to 5. He would be an option. Shaden Sharp would be an option.
I like
Um,
Sharp. I think
I'm
I
not
would put.
adverse to taking Matherin at 5.
Mm,
I'm not adverse to taking. I was listening to some Detroit Locked On Detroit podcast.
mm-hmm.
They like
Matherin.
Matherin at 5. So I don't, I don't have a problem. But this is my thing. Why are you trading up? Like, is there that much separation between does the Knicks front office think there's that much separation between a AJ Griffin, a Matherin, a Johnny Day? You understand what I'm
I
saying?
and
Why
that's
trade up when
I
you could
was
just stay and just wait
listen,
for one of them to
listen.
fall?
I was leading there.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to get
Oh
through the
yeah. Okay.
numbers of
Okay.
what it takes
Okay.
because I'm with you 100%. But
Right.
we'll deep dive into that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Only
Let's
person I would trade up for is if
Ivy.
Ivy dropped to 5, Detroit. Now, Detroit may want him because think about it. They wanted to finish in the top 3.
Hmm.
You finish at 5 and you still get Ivy.
Yeah,
Knicks
yeah,
gonna have to probably throw something else in there
exactly,
to get him
exactly,
from Detroit.
exactly.
You know?
And I, I agree with you 100%. It's almost like a senseless conversation, but
Yeah.
this is the latest Nick rumor.
So we
So
just we
so
just
we just
talking.
try to get
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
through it. But I'm with you 100%, and we'll deep dive into that after we get through these couple numbers. So that was 5. You said the Pacers at 6.
Pacers are at 6.
With them, man. See, I would want to finesse them. I would want to somehow trick them into giving us that pick to take on somebody that they're stuck with right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm
What do
not
you mean?
like the whole Brogdon thing. Like I know a lot of people are high on Brogdon. I'm not per se because of the injury
Because of the
and
injuries, exactly.
and that. So I'm trying to finesse them into, hey, all right, you want us to take Brogdon, attach a first to it, and then we could finesse. You know what I mean? We could work something out that way. Um, and in that case, so even I guess even a swap with 5. What's that? 5? We're on a 6. We're on 6 now, right? A swap of 6 and 11, and we take on Brogdon.
Hmm.
I would do that. I would do that, and obviously we got to find a salary filler to go back to them, because at that point now we're filling a position of need, and we have the potential to, go after another position of need.
Hmm.
What do you think the cost would be, like the player salary to match with Brogdon? Because now we're talking 30 million. Is it just the expirants?
I would just give the expirants. I mean, they probably want to draft picks, and that'll give them. I don't know what their cap looks like, if that gives them space or not next year when those come off the books. I don't
I
know what
mean,
their cap
it,
looks
it,
like.
it does because Brogdon's 3 years left, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's only 2 years left, it gives them cap relief a year early.
Right, but if they're so over the cap, like if they
Oh,
went over the cap to sign him coming off the books, they may still be over the cap.
I don't think they're over the cap. Like he's their biggest contract, I believe. I don't think they have a bigger contract than him. And then after that, it's probably Turner. Like they're just trying to clear everything. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
think salary cap. I wouldn't be surprised if they're right around where we are salary cap wise.
But I don't know if I would trade for Brogdon to get the sixth pick. Like who because the thing with Brogdon is the injury history, and you have to pay him. You have to pay him, I don't know, what is it, 22, 23, whatever it is, million for the next 3 years.
I think he's at 30, isn't he? Because
I
there,
don't
there
think
was a
it's that
price
high.
there. Because I remember us talking about, would you rather 20 for Brunson or 30 for Brogdon? And
Well, that's even worse. So it's the same, you know,
but again, if it's just our expirings, you know what I mean.
but you still got to pay him. So the difference
But
is,
that's the difference of our expirings.
I get it, but
You
what I'm
talk
trying to
about after this year, we'd still be paying them.
correct.
Okay,
Whereas with our expirings, we can go out and get somebody else.
okay,
So Brogdon is taking up the cap space that you would have in free agency next year.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I know that when like
Yeah.
I are we guaranteed to get
So
someone better than him? Next
yes,
year.
I'm not I'm not touching Brogdon
Okay,
because of the injury history. I like him as a player. If we were talking about somebody 100% healthy, it's a different conversation. But
okay.
I'm not.
Yeah, because I think that's the only way we can do it. I think we have to kind of say, yeah, we'll take Brogdon for that pick. I don't know if there's a way we could take Brogdon, get that pick, and keep the 11th. You know what I
No,
mean? Like if we could do that, then I'm definitely for it. Because now we're talking
no.
about two lottery picks. But sometimes that's the cost of getting rid of a guy that
Yeah,
you
no
don't want.
doubt.
You know
No
what I mean?
doubt.
But that's the way I'm approaching that move.
Right.
Who's next? Who we got after
Portland at 7, who's
Portland at 7?
reportedly wants to move off of the seventh pick to get Dame some help. So this is where Randall's name comes up, and I think Randall would fit there. But for me, on Twitter, a lot of people would disagree with me. You're gonna have to give me more than the seventh pick for Randall. That's just how I feel about it.
I ain't mad at playing hardball. Um,
Yeah,
I mean,
whoever you get in that 7, anybody in this draft is not a surefire thing. You know, so a lot of the fan base wants to get off of Randall, and I totally get it. I totally understand it. But you get as much um, as you can for him. It would
mm,
be a pick swap.
a, see a pick swap, and we giving up Randall. I don't. Yeah, that's even worse than what you just talk about.
Right,
You want more than just the pick, and that's no swap. So
right. So Randall and the 11th for the 7th. Nah, I'm not doing that.
yeah, I'm not doing it either.
If is that
I
what you're
mean,
talking about, Josh?
now now, what if they're giving Simmons as well?
They not giving they not giving up Simmons in that pick. I would take it, but they not giving up Anthony. Anthony Simmons is a restricted free agent, as well. So it would need to be a sign and trade. I get the whole Jay Boogie, shout out to you. Addition by subtraction. Like I said, I'm not adverse to moving off of Randle, but the price has to be right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and you somebody saying, "Come on," and you said it too, Queen. Like they not giving up Simmons, but again, they just stealing Randall from us. Basically, at that point, you talk about giving them the
So
not you,
Randle,
but
who's the seventh? Randle at 7, AJ Griffin. So you're giving up Randle for AJ Griffin. You're giving up Randle in the 11th for Ben Magdalene. You're giving up Randle and um
and this goes back to your point
for
and my point
to me, I just think
of
that's
why would I
yeah,
move up for somebody that might potentially fall down, or the guys that will fall are not. There's not a big gap in between for me personally. You know what I mean? A Matherin, a Davis, a Dyson. Like all these. Like I'm okay with any of them. You know
right.
what I mean? I have my preference if they're all there, but they're not all gonna be there. So it's yeah. The seventh pick is not enough for Randall. I'm not doing the seventh and the 11th. I mean the 11th and Randall for the seventh without getting even more back. So
With something else
yeah,
back.
yeah, you
There has
got
to be
you
something
better
else.
be talking about Simons. You know what I mean? Or it's no deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah. So I don't even think we really got to go much further because what was that 7? We talking about 8, 9, 10. I don't. Is it worth moving up 3 spots, 2 spots, 1 spot, and whatever the cost is going to be for that? To me, the answer is no. So I don't think I'm moving up. Period, unless it's to 4
Right.
or 5, like you said for Ivy.
Right. I mean, I think the Knicks have to be ready and flexible to make a move if their guy begins to fall. That's all. You got to be just ready. If you may think Ivy is out of your, there's no way he's going to be there. He starts falling down the draft board. Then now you're thinking that I don't think he's going to fall all the way to 11. He's at 6 right now. This is just an example. Let's get in here and see if we can get him. Yeah. So
My bad.
no,
I
that's
gotta
fine.
plug up the computer. It's about to it's about to go. So
Okay.
give me 1 second.
Yeah, definitely do that. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the Knicks do. Let's see what the chat is saying. Top Gun, excuse me. This is a wild card. No team is trading their lottery pick for Julius Randle. Well, Portland is looking for a veteran to pair with Dame. They feel like he has a few years left. Well, 3-4 years, whatever it is. They don't want to waste that on a young guy. They want a veteran. So yeah, what now? Do they like Randall? That's to be seen. Um, Sherwin, there's no one in the draft that is worth Randall. Fools, sorry, folks, stop the foolishness. Dumping Randall to make room for Obi is just plain stupid. Um, Rayology, appreciate you. Just go get Ivy. You got to convince Sacramento, whose front office on the hot seat in the final year of their deal, to take Randall, IQ, and the number 11 pick. Wow. I
Um,
would have to think about. Seems like a lot, but I that's something I would definitely think about. Somebody said Portland doesn't want Randall. Listen, this is the thing with Knick fans, though. We're down on him. He's trash. Give him away. But yet we think other teams look at him as something special. They see what we see. You know what I mean? They see what we see. I think Randall has to recoup his value. You know? Um, what else? Somebody said something.
I
That's a
apologize.
lot for Ivy. Um, I swear y'all give Randall all this slander. Randall and Obi can play together. People hate Randall. He's 20 and 10. Listen, there's some things Randall needs to correct, attitude and leadership wise. You
Thanks.
just can't overlook. You can't overlook that, whether he's um 20 and 10 or not. You can't overlook that.
I,
Um
I I I agree. A
Ivy
lot
can't
of this
finish it.
was really for the guys, and I'm not even gonna say for the fans that want Randall gone. It's
Hmm.
more of, if that's the direction the Knicks organization decide they want to go, if they feel like it's irreparable,
Hmm.
you know that I'm not so high on Randall that I can't fathom the organization wanting to move on or
Right.
move in a different
Absolutely.
direction. You,
Right.
you, you know what I mean? But Eddie C, what's good?
Yeah. Did you see his
Yes,
comment?
yes, I would. Where did it go? Oh, there you go.
Oh, we
My
both
bad.
hit it.
All right, you got it. You got it, Queen.
Let me see if I can find it.
There you go. Yes, unequivocally, yes.
I mean, one problem for another. Really.
I mean, I I'll take the risk. I'll take the risk, and it's a big risk because if it fails on our end and works on their end, it's gonna be a double heartbreak. You know what I mean? Like, but the potential of what it could do, you know what I mean, to those fans, and if the organization thinks the Randall thing can't be fixed, this opens up the floor for Obi and gives him somebody to give it to him. So you know, I think if it works, man, you talk about boosting the impact or the stock of the other guys on the team. I think that's one thing Ben does. Um,
But we don't even know who Ben is.
I-
Given his mental health issues, the back surgery, it's a risk both ways.
somebody got a question for you.
I don't even know. I'm not a big pizza
I, I tell
eater.
you what, it don't matter. Like
Anyone,
yep, you
yeah, come to Brooklyn and get any pizza. They might have good pizza in the Bronx too. I don't know.
they do.
They
Brooke,
do. Okay.
and honestly, I could honestly say Manhattan is probably the only place that you might want to be a little wary. Like
Mhm.
you'll find good spots in Manhattan, but you'll also find some real bad ones.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But anywhere, any borough, you'll find it. Oh man. Uh, what else did we have? All right. Last thing before we get out of here, and we talked about it briefly before. Um, you think you are you upset or are you opposed to moving down and acquiring? In particular, I believe it's was it Charlotte that has
I think the
13 and
11.
15.
Is that low? Is it 11 or 13 and 15? Something like
I
that.
think it's like 13 and 15. I think that's the only spot that that I would do it in.
Mhm.
That's and I might even initiate the talks.
Who would you who would
I
you
hate
who would you draft trade down for?
and at that point I'm doing the math. So when I say like trade down for, we had 11. I believe it's 13 they have, right? The closest pick. So if I have three guys on my board and they're all on the board at 11, it don't matter to me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like if our top three guys that we both named for the big board,
Mhm.
based off of your show last night, are on the board at available at 11, then I 100% will move down for a 13 and 15 because I know I'm going to get one of them for sure. I might still have my choice of two of them. You know what I mean? And I might get two of them in 13 and 15 if I'm lucky. So I do it if I, you know what I mean, if my big board, like somebody, you said you had 5 people, so if all 5 picks are left, are available
Hmm.
on the board at 11, why wouldn't you, I'm saying why wouldn't you, but would you move down to 13 and pick up the 15 along with it, knowing
Right.
that at the very least 3 of those guys will be there when you pick, and at the very least you got 5 people on your board, you're going to get 2 of the 5 instead of the
Right.
top one.
Right. But I agree with Josh here. I'm opposed to moving down because we have enough assets already. Not even enough roster spots this season to support 2 first round picks. And it's true.
uh,
I think at this point the Knicks need to start getting players. Either you like the core that you have and you're gonna let them rock. And we got enough of a core. We got 8 players under 24. Okay, minus Mitch, 7 players. I mean, how many young players do the Knicks need?
I mean,
You know,
you also do the math too though. Like, number one, we didn't even mention uh Duran or Williams, the center from Duke, on our top big boards.
no,
So
Dorian was on mine. He was 4.
he was for, okay. So I mean, now we're talking about 2 positions of needs. You know what I mean? Like that we could potentially fill. I don't know. I do it, and I'm not worried about, we have 7 young guys already, because again, if the 2 guys we bring in can beat out 2 guys that we already have, then it don't matter. You know what I mean? Now those guys become movable assets.
Right. But I mean, it's fine. I think it depends on the direction the Knicks want to go. I just feel like we just getting younger and younger and younger and younger. Um, so
Mm,
and I just think we have enough. We got enough young people at this point. Um, who's that? 27. Randle will be Portland's second best player. We can definitely trade him without including picks. If he's the second best player on Portland, then he's the first best. He's the best player on the Knicks. You know what I mean? I mean, it's amazing how when it comes to us, we devalue him, but when it comes to other teams, oh, he would be great for them. He would be their second best player.
I mean, it, to some people's credit, the people who don't make it an open ended statement, and want to clarify the thoughts of that statement. I think there's an argument that could be made where even him being the second best player there, it's also less pressure on him. You know what I mean? Like, it's also not the New York pressure. It's
Right.
like it's a bunch of things that I think where you could not want him here, but be genuine in saying he would be perfect there. You know what I mean?
Fit. If we're
But
gonna talk about fit,
but I'm with
that
you,
that
because I'm
fit.
not one of the people
But
that
that's
talk.
not what people are
I
talking
know,
about.
I
People
know.
aren't talking about fit. They're just talking about how great he's gonna be over there because he could do this and do that.
I
So,
mean,
but I get it. I get it.
it might be just not being the number one guy though. You know what I mean? Again, you gotta say those things though. If that's your argument, you definitely can't be like, oh, he's a bum here, and he would
Right.
he would be the second best player there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm with you. Just clarify yourselves, guys. Don't. One man's
And
trash is another man's treasure. I guess that's what they say.
right. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what the Knicks do because I think they're going to be trades that go down on June 23rd as well. I don't think the Knicks are going to come out of that trade with just the 11th pick. I think there's going to be some trading going on as well.
Yeah,
And I think, if they trade, somebody on this team, there's going to be a lot of disappointment. Um, but we shall see.
and I know you're gonna be working on your video for tomorrow, which I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to give a sneak
Nah.
teaser.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it.
Okay, okay,
I'm gonna
okay,
keep it.
okay,
I'm gonna keep
okay.
it. But yeah, I'm gonna actually drop a few videos this weekend.
Sorry, my cat is going crazy. I don't know what's wrong with
I thought that was
her. A baby, right?
yeah, yeah,
All right, no more babies here.
yeah.
I think we could wrap it up. We 5 minutes short of an hour. The chat is on fire.
I
Appreciate.
was gonna see if there was did anybody have any questions? Yeah, Harlem girl. Appreciate you. Like how fans devalue Mitch while other teams value him. We can't hear you, Tone.
I know. I was calling my cat trying to get her to stop crying.
Tony, your cat is saying you are wrong. The cat does not want to trade. The cat doesn't want to trade now. Dyson Daniels
Fulio.
with the 11th pick. Oh God.
Look, you getting famous over here.
The cat wants to trade Randle. Yeah, that's a cat. First, I thought it was a baby in the in the
Somebody
background.
just gave me the answer. They said I got a neuter her or spade or whatever one
Hmm.
is for girls.
Right.
Uh, yeah, I just got her, so I don't know nothing about cats. It's mating
Google.
season. There you go. Yeah, that's why she be out in the window every time one of them strays be running around. She be on it. Um, any last words?
No, I appreciate you. Shout out to Sim.
For
NBK.
sure.
Everybody rocking with us in the chat. Josh, Eddie C was here. Sherwin, Rayology, KS the General, the coolest 718, David L. May 4th, and everybody else I didn't mention. Shot Powers was in here. Appreciate you, brother.
That's a whole fact, man. Shout out to
Yeah,
the chat. There's no show without you guys, for
no doubt
real.
about
We
it.
appreciate you joining. Like
Yeah,
Queen says, shout out to the Podfather, the inspiration for all these branches in the Knicks in the NBK family tree. Um,
definitely. Queen's Court will be back Monday. I didn't have the show. Yes, 2 days ago, Monday, I was out of the country, but we'll be back this Monday and we'll be talking bigs, power forwards, and centers in the draft. It should be a good show, so be sure to check it out.
yeah. I'm gonna join you on your channel tomorrow. Just whenever you want to do it, just give me like a heads up.
Definitely.
I'm off tomorrow. I might drop something a little later tonight on Nicks and Bruises, so look out for that. And if not, I'll be back Monday before the Queen's Court. We'll be back to our normal scheduled time,
Yep, yep,
normal
yep.
scheduled channel. Appreciate you guys. If you have not bought tickets to the draft party, matter of fact,
The second annual NBK draft party in Atlantic City. There'll be a live podcast, live DJ, live video shoot. $40 for a VIP ticket, $30 for draft night only. Get your tickets now.
that's right.
Yeah. And you know what I'll add? If you can't we're there for 2 days. So if you can't make it Thursday, come Friday. Friday is the aftermath. We'll be doing a podcast kind of breaking down what happened on draft night. Like I said, I think it's going to be more than just a draft pick for the Knicks. I do think the Knicks are going to make some trades on that night, but we'll be breaking that down the next day. So there'll be another live podcast on Friday. There'll be lunch as well. So if you can't make it Thursday, roll in there Friday as
Rolling
well.
Friday.
And Fridays when
Friday,
we have the events, the basketball
the
games,
rematch.
yeah, with Sam and Josh. I mean, excuse me, Isaiah Chef Zay.
I'm,
Um,
I'm I'm working on my opponent. I don't know. Some of these MBK podcasters have been ducking me, and unfortunately, I might have to take the winner of Sim and Big Bubba. But I don't want to lose, so I think Queen, you was talking about a free throw contest,
yeah,
so
that's it for
you,
me. Unless
you
we
know.
shooting around, having a shooting contest, free throw contest, I'm out.
So yeah, we got a bunch of activities. Definitely come through, come support, come spread love. You know, get in the video, the intro for MBK intro video. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and more things to be announced. So check us out. And with that, I'm out. Queen, appreciate you.
Appreciate
Go
you.
Black is time.